Welcome back to another episode of the Casey Campbell Podcast. Casey Campbell with you. Of course, we are pleased to be joined by the new boys basketball coach at Jackson Lumen, Christi, and many of my followers would know who this person is. It's Josh Tropea. How's it going?
It's going great. I'm thrilled to be on. I'm glad you reached out, and it's always good to see you.
It's always good to see you too. I haven't seen you in a long time. So, um,
Yes.
so first off, let's talk about this. When you left Chelsea, when did this job come about? When did you want to? It wouldn't take long to get you back into this. So
Yeah. Yeah. I did think it would take a little bit longer than this, though. So this summer, my son was playing for Lumen Christi this summer, and their former coach, and my assistant Tyler Aldridge, was the head coach at the time, and he's like, "Hey, if your boy's going to be around, I'd love to have you around. I'm trying to rebuild the program." I'm now one of those old guys that people want around for advice. So I became that guy in the summer and things like that. So I was helping out in that capacity, just kind of volunteering and just anything they needed, whether it be basketball or opening the gym or just working kids out, whatever they needed. And in the fall, we had a good game plan in place. I was going to help them during the season. And then about, I guess maybe probably 7-8 weeks ago now, he came to me and said that he and his wife were going to have their third child under 4, and that he was seriously considering stepping down. And I met with administration. I met with him. He decided at that point that he was going to step down, but he wanted to stay on staff. Then I went through a few interviews, and really lucky that Lumen Christi decided to hire me. And like I said, I was planning to help anyways. And then when this happened, I thought this will help Tyler out. He's going to stay on staff being an assistant, and that way I can help him kind of turn things around. But when he's got to be home with the kids, he can be home with the kids. So very unexpected, but truly a blessing. I've had an absolute blast. It's who I am. I don't know if I would have managed without it, to be honest with you. I think I could have, but I'm glad we don't have to find out.
yeah, it's and obviously going to one place to another, it's obviously tough to leave the place that you've been at for a long time. But
Yeah.
overall, it's on to greener pastures. And I know Chelsea, Andrea's doing a solid job. I know they beat Parma Western last night.
Oh
So
yeah. Yeah, it's the Jake and Joey show. There's no doubt about it. I think Jake had 31 and Joey had 27. And yeah, I mean she's got a couple Division I players there in her hands, and she'll do a good job with them, I'm sure.
yeah. Okay, so let's talk about you guys for a second. What has this transition been like, not just for you, but most importantly for the kids? Because it's like they have a head coach, and now they have another one.
Yeah, I think it's a great question. I think it's been pretty smooth because I was around in the summer as an assistant. So, I was kind of the fun guy, the voice on the bench when things weren't going well or there need to be some adjustments. I could sit with the kids and kind of coach them through some things. And that was great. So it really let me develop some relationships with them in the summer. So the transition has been really smooth. And I think, again, it's because of Tyler. Tyler, when he decided to step down, he met with the kids and he's like, "Hey, this is a great opportunity for me as a young coach to learn from an old coach. And it's a great opportunity for us as a program where he gets to stay in place." So Tyler has an incredible relationship with kids. So having him there every day is great. I've really focused, especially the last couple of weeks, on really getting to know the kids individually and spending time with them. But again, that really started in the summer.
Okay, so let's talk about some of the returners you have coming back and some of the guys to watch.
Yeah, so Joe Lathers is a senior who will start for us this year. He had a great summer. Obviously, just won a state championship in football. I mean, he's a Division I, Division II type athlete, on the court, on the football field, all those things. He's a special kid, and he's a great leader. Scores the ball well, shoots the three well. He can play inside. He can guard 1 through 5. He's a quarterback on the basketball court. It's incredible to have him. Another returning guy is Aiden Pastoriza, 6'7" post player. He's working himself into basketball shape. He's got really good hands, finishes well around the basket, changes a ton of shots, obviously with that size and length. And both those guys averaged over 7 points a game last year on varsity and played quality minutes. And they were in good games, close games, in tough minutes, and they learned a lot and grew. So we're going to rely on those guys heavily. Kason Burgess is another guy that's back this year. He's a I'm sorry, Aiden's a junior, by the way, the 6'7" kid. Kason is also a junior, Kason Burgess. He also averaged about 11 or 12 minutes a game last year as a guard. He handles the ball well. His thing's really getting to the rim, and he's a great athlete on defense. So those three guys are really the returning guys. Everybody else played minimal minutes or played JV. So we're very young. There's only 2 seniors on the roster and not a lot of varsity experience. There's 4 sophomores right now on the varsity roster. So we're young, but we're athletic. The kids work extremely hard, and they're easy to coach.
And obviously, from getting the season, because, the team just won a state championship, and that's usually when the rosters are starting to get put together. Obviously, you have a ton of experience of that with your previous stuff.
Yeah.
So going into that, how tough was it to try to, set the roster really?
It has been tough. So what we did was we gave the kids an extended tryout. So we gave them 5 days for tryouts and basically extended until this last Monday, till we had our first scrimmage. So we met with every kid individually, and there's 13 kids right now. And we've extended the tryout for a few kids. I shouldn't say tryout. We've extended kind of a grace period for a few kids to see if they want to stay with it that are not in the rotation. So we're going to do that up until Christmas break. And then if everybody's willing to buy into their role, we'll carry all 13 kids. That'll be wonderful. And if a couple kids are like not happy with their role and they choose to go elsewhere or focus on a spring sport, then we'll bring some JV guys up for practice. But just because of the timing, I mean, football didn't end until after the first week of practice. And then we have a Catholic retreat called the Kairos Retreat. So we actually did not even start basketball until December 1st.
So let's talk about, kind of explain, like, for what league you play in and all that. I'm not, me. I have all leagues that I follow.
No, great question. So, and it's a unique question, and I got a good answer because things are changing. So we're in the I-8 this year. So that includes Parma, that includes Northwest, Hastings, Penfield, Harper Creek, Coldwater, and Marshall. So mostly down 94 West, and then there's Coldwater where you head towards Indiana down 69 there. So those schools make up the league. We are by far the smallest school in the league. There's 3 Class A schools, 4 big Class B schools, and then us. We have 310 kids. So this will be our last year in the league. Next year, we'll be joining the Catholic League in the 2nd division. So we will move and play schools like Divine Child, Detroit Loyola, Ann Arbor Gay Richard, and so on. So this will be our last year in the I-8. I think some people are sad to go. I'm not sure anybody's sad we're leaving. Nobody wants to play our football team, that's for sure. But we'll make the most of it. And there's some really good teams, really good coaches, and it's a very competitive league.
Yeah. So yeah, you're going into it. You're leaving the league and all that. Just what's that going to be like as you make the transition to the Catholic League?
For me, I mean, personally, I think the Catholic League is going to be a great thing for Lumen Christi. And again, I know some people are undecided, things like that. But as a coach, I can speak and say that we're going to have 8 league games in the Catholic League. So we're only going to have 4 road games. And a couple of them might be long trips, and we'll play those on Saturdays at 3:00 or a Friday night. But again, only 4 road games, 4 home games. And then everybody makes the Catholic League tournament at the end, where you could have anywhere from 1 to 3 more games. I love it because we're playing Catholic schools, same belief system, common goals, interests, and it's a good fit. So often public schools don't want anything to do with Catholic schools, or they don't want to schedule them and things like that. So I'm glad we're going into the Catholic League. But I'm also glad that I have 11 open dates where we can still play teams like Jackson High. We can play Western and Northwest, keep those rivalries intact, and then try to play as many local games as we can. And moving forward, I'd like to schedule more Catholic schools non-league as well, like Monroe St. Mary's, Flint Powers Catholic, Lansing Catholic, and so on.
For sure.
Yeah.
Really, what do you want to see? What do you want to see out of this team out of the gate? And to kind of talk about your schedule, I'm not sure what you can't try to keep track of all these teams.
Yeah.
You guys played a game. You guys have you got? Correct me if I'm wrong. You have not played a game yet.
We have not, and we aren't ready to play one, honestly. Like I said, we started 6 days ago. So we started last Thursday. So we've only been together 6 days. We do play Friday against Battle Creek Penfield. It is a league game. And then we play next Friday against Hastings, also a league game. Those are the only two games we have prior to Christmas. So these next 2.5 weeks are huge for us because we get better every day. We're getting in better shape. We're learning a new system. We're learning more about each other, me as a coach, them as players and teammates. So, we'll go to battle on Friday, and I know we'll compete. I know we'll leave it all on the floor, and we'll see what happens at the end there. And then the next week we get a full week to practice before Hastings. And then the following week, we just get a full week to practice. So we need to make as much growth as we can in these next 2.5 weeks, because after Christmas, we're playing 2 to 3 games a week the rest of the year. And as you know, it's a little harder to improve because you're prepping for games, you're playing a lot. But out of the gate, you asked, I honestly don't know what to expect. I say that we're young, it's a new system. We're gonna struggle in December. And I've talked to the kids about that. We're gonna have some highs, we're gonna have some lows. But I've done this before. So this is my fourth rebuild. I started at Howell in 2006. I took over a 1-20 team, and we went 12-9. And I left after 1 year for a teaching job in Ypsilanti. The next stop was Milan. They were 3-39 the 2 years before I got there, and obviously in 5 years we were able to win 96 games in a state championship. So obviously we got things going there. But again, the first year we only won 8 games. And then I did it again in Chelsea in 2014-15. I had taken over a team that had been 2-19 the year before I got there. Well, again, we were able to win 8 games, and then in year 2 we won 15. So this is my fourth rebuild. I would like to think I know how this works. I know how to do this. It's a very similar situation. Lumen Christi's been 9-45 the last 3 years. They were 3-18 last year. So again, it's a very similar situation to the others. I think realistically we can win 8 to 12 games this year, and I think we can win a district. I really do. But year 2 is where we see the big jump, because again, we only have 2 seniors. We're going to learn about each other this year. We're going to learn how to win and learn the system. And honestly, I think this place is a sleeping giant. And I think year 2, you're going to see the growth. And then I think the sky's the limit for us at Lumen Christi.
For sure. All right. Well, Josh Tropea, always good to catch up with you, and best of luck this season, you guys.
Thanks for having me, Casey.